Chrissy Knox, and I'm the reader today. Can you hear me? The theme for September is Living Everyday Wonder, Work. The topic for today is Creating a Life That Matters. Ernest Holmes offers these words of wisdom. God is ever going forth into new expression, and every word we speak, every thought we think is a further creative activity of God at the level of our expression of God. And Matthew Fox offers this truth. A job is something we do to get a paycheck and pay our bills. Jobs are legitimate at times, but work is why we are here in the universe. Work and calling often go together. Let's affirm together. The work of my Dan. We're going to affirm soon. Okay, are we ready? There we are. We're now going to affirm together. The work of my soul is creating a life that matters. And now I bring back to you, Reverend Kathleen.
Your work, creating a life that matters. Well, the first thing I thought of is maybe telling you about all the jobs that I had. I tried being a tree doctor, but I fainted at the sight of sap. I got fired as a yoga instructor, and you know what? I bent over backwards for those people. I became an archaeologist, but before long, my career was in ruins. I was a dentist for a while, but you know what? It was like pulling teeth. I worked as a bank teller until I started losing interest. I was training to be a sound technician like Dan, but I couldn't handle the feedback. Sometimes Dan can't either, right, Dan? I thought about fortune telling, but you know what? I couldn't see a future in it. And after that, I tried to be a tailor, but I wasn't suited for it. And lastly, I considered telemarketing, but you know what? It wasn't my calling. So that was just for a little bit of fun, right? The truth is, while that is not exactly how my career life went, I did have multiple jobs in the early days when I got a degree in psychology, and then when I got out into the work world, and also Dan and I were traveling all over the country with his job, I found that my aptitude for math came in handy, so I had a series of jobs in accounting and bookkeeping. And that lasted over 10 years, and I ended up in an accounting firm working as an accountant. But you know, then what I realized is this was not feeding my soul. Even though I could do it, I had the skill, it wasn't a match. And so I really looked deeply within, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go back to my psychology type of roots, and let me see what's available. And then I decided to get a master's in counseling, and so I became a school counselor. And I did that for 15 years, 2 different jobs, 15 years. But then even that was not completely soul satisfying. By then I had become a religious science practitioner, and I'd been doing that for quite a while. And what I really loved, what really called my soul, was spiritual study, being in spiritual community, encouraging my own spiritual growth and supporting others in doing the same. And so I now feel like I'm in my true calling or my true vocation, which is ministry. And I've been doing it for, I calculated it, 17 years. 17 years. And the joy that I have from what it is that is my calling, doing this type of work, is kind of hard to even describe. It's this amazing match in terms of what I love to do, and also being able to do it in service to all of you and to all of the others in our spiritual community. So I always go back to the ultimate reality. And to me, the ultimate reality is that there is one great work activity going on in the universe. And what is it?
Creation.
What's the source of creation?
God.
God, Spirit. One great activity going on in the universe, one great work. And so while we humans can often equate work with, well, it's a source of my identity and it's a source of money, it's so much more than that. Work is, in its most fulfilling form, is when it's aligned with our vocation, our deep inner calling. And in this way, we use our talents, and sometimes they're latent talents that arise that we didn't even realize that we had, to contribute to the great work of the universe. We do our part in the great work of the universe. So today, then, is about aligning with this calling, and to me, living in a state of wonder is so vital, such a vital part of this, in order to create a life that matters, a life that matters. What does that mean to you when you hear that? Living a life that matters. Well, let's take a look at true vocation first. The word vocation comes from the Latin word vocar, or vocari, I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced, but it means voice. So vocation is not a job or a title, it's a way of being in which we listen to the inner voice, with a capital V, the inner voice of the Most High. It's a, well, let me put it this way. Palmer Parker said, before you tell your life what you need to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you. And I think of life with a capital L. So to me, this is a beautiful way of saying, rather than, and visualization does this. Visualization is kind of telling life what we want to do with it. Because if we just say, well, I'm just going to visualize myself, whatever it is, visualize myself in this kind of work, and I'm going to do this, and those are actually beginning steps in as a metaphysician. When we get into this teaching, we learn visualization. And yet when we think about it, it can be very limiting because we're limited to what the surface mind tells us we can do. And that's why I go back to the powerful practice of visioning, because visioning helps us dive below the surface mind, the conditioned mind that just says, well, these are the things I can do because this is what I've experienced so far. It's a deep dive below the surface mind into the field of all possibility, the universal mind of God, the source of all wisdom, the source of all of our good. And it's a place where we can dive down and pose questions, and then with deep reverence and deep wonder, listen to what comes up to the surface of our awareness. So it really is an opportunity to live in that field of possibility, to be available to it, and then to witness what it is that life has for us, intends for us to more fully express. I love what Ernest Holmes does. He calls this presence, this deep universal mind that we're all rooted in, our senior partner. Another name for God, our senior partner. And how apt that is for the work that we do. And by the way, when I'm talking about work, I'm talking about any purposeful activity that we are involved in, whether it is, because some of us are retired here. Whatever we were doing at one point in time, we're now doing other things. So it's really important to understand that whatever activity you are doing at any point in your life that's purposeful, even washing the dishes or washing your car, we can bring forth that calling, that sense of purpose, that sense of awe and wonder into every activity, and it changes it for us. It transforms it. So the other beautiful thing about visioning that I love is that we can consult our senior partner as to what it is that we must release in consciousness in order to be a vibrational match to that vision. What we must embrace, how, in other words, how we must transform. Parker Palmer put it this way. He said, "We are here not only to transform the world, but also to be transformed." Again, wonder is a vital part of true vocation, the willingness to listen and wonder and ask questions with a state of wonder of the divine presence within us. And it's also a willingness to live in the present moment, see through the eyes of spirit, and to witness the miraculous things that are going on around us and within us. If we truly open our eyes and if we truly drop into the present moment, we will be in awe and wonder. And again, if we're not living in a state of wonder, we're not paying attention. All right. There's so much going on all the time. Okay. Let's dance with it. Okay, so in this expanded state of joy that wonder puts us in, this expanded state of gratitude, think of what that does for our body temples. We're in these body temples. When we're in gratitude, we're in wonder, we're in joy. We're what? We're more available to the flow of divine inspiration. So it's easier to hear the guiding word of the Spirit. Ernest Holmes, and I'm using the word, the guiding word or voice of the Spirit. Ernest Holmes writes, "The starting point of all creation is the word with a capital W of Spirit. The word is the concept, idea, image, or thought of God, speaking itself through us into manifestation. When we quiet our minds and are available, we are making ourselves available to the word or the thought of God operating through us." That the word back of every, Holmes writes, in creation is its initial cause. The word is the initial cause. So true vocation, then, according to Frederick Buchner, is the place where your deep gladness meets the world's need. Deep gladness. What does that mean? To me, it means doing the thing that I love. My deep gladness meets the world's need. Whatever the needs are in the world, there's so many different needs, but that is the perfect marriage to become a true vocation, which propels us into action, and we become an attractor field for those who are going to share the journey with us. The next thing I wanted to talk about was right livelihood. Right livelihood is a Buddhist term, which represents the integration of work life and vocation. This is where your paid vocation or your paid work becomes one with your vocation, your deep inner calling, your true vocation. So it's making a living in a supportive, compassionate, and constructive way. It involves a commitment, here's the thing, a commitment to inner growth and maturation, deepening and becoming our truest self. So becoming our true self then truly is a vocation. Think about it. And it's a life worth pursuing. It's creating a life that matters. So I'd like to conclude with this Hasidic tale, and it goes like this. A rabbi named Erwin died and went to stand before God. He grew nervous when he thought about how little he had accomplished in life. And then he started thinking, maybe I needed to be more like Moses or more like David. He was thinking about all the great biblical characters that he admired. And then when God appeared, the rabbi was totally surprised because what did God say? Why were you not Erwin? Why were you not Erwin? So the only authentic choice we have then is to become ourselves, our unique, individualized expressions, not to try to be like anybody else. So beginning today, let us make a commitment to give voice to our true selves, our authentic selves, shining the radiant light that we are into the world, and living everyday wonder as our beloved selves then is aligning our purpose to be transformed and to be a transforming presence in the world with this higher vision of creating a life that matters, that, meeting the world's need. So let's take a breath, let's turn within and give thanks for this opportunity to connect with this inner calling of our soul, knowing that this calling is the very call of Spirit. It's Spirit calling us. Come, come. And so we breathe into that. We listen deeply, understanding that this one life, this one presence, this one source of all that is that ultimate voice that always guides us in the direction of that which we truly love to do, the ways in which we love to serve. And it is revealed in the joy, the gratitude, the sense of awe and wonder that we carry with us into each and every moment. So I'm knowing that as we let go of all limiting ideas about what work is, put those to rest, and instead step into this idea of living our calling. I know that all is well. I know that all is unfolding. I know we are fully supported by inspiration, by the universal law of God, and therefore we go forward in confidence, in faith and trust that what we are doing truly is something that matters. We are creating a life that matters. And so I give my thanks for this alignment with truth in our consciousness. I release this word into the universal law of mind with a full sense of conviction that it is done. And I invite us then to accept this truth into our lives with a powerful yes, and so it is. Thank you, my friends.